everyone. My name is Diego Alfoson, and I'm one of your hosts for the Florida Aviation Network. We are broadcasting live and in the clear from the Aerospace Discovery section in the Florida Air Museum located at the Sun and Fun Complex in Lakeland, Florida. We're celebrating the 41st annual Sun and Fun Fly-In and Exposition. Today, our guest is I consider an extraordinary lady because she wears so many hats. It's just, I don't know how she does it. But she is the representative of the Bahama tourism. And I'm going to let her talk to you about all the beautiful things that you can find in the Bahamas and fulfill those dreams of crystal clear waters and talcum powder beaches and stuff like that. Her name is Elizabeth Vance. Elizabeth, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. It's wonderful to be here.
I'll tell you, just your presence makes me not nervous. Makes me jealous because I'm from Cuba. I'm from also a bigger version of the Bahamas, like a bigger island. And every time I have a chance to escape, I go to the Bahamas because that's the closest I can feel to the way I was brought up. I was born and raised on the beach. And so you have now the opportunity to tell pilots and all our listeners and viewers about all the beautiful things that they can find in the Bahamas and how they can go about doing that.
Well, thank you very much. I am currently the Bahamas Aviation Specialist for the Bahamas Ministry of Tourism, and we are charged with letting pilots know how to travel safely and securely to the islands of the Bahamas and how to have a great time once you get there. So we're here to bring the marketing message to any pilot that wants to come out and visit us, whether they're coming down scuba diving or snorkeling, or they just want to fly around and see those beautiful beaches from the air. So we've got plenty of opportunity for everyone. We have information specifically for pilots, and we also have specific packages for private pilots. A lot of our hotels cater to that pilot travel, or to that pilot traveler and their families and friends, and so they put together special packages. There are special incentives that are offered through some of our hotel associations. We work with a group of volunteers, our Bahamas Flying Ambassadors. The Flying Ambassadors have a multiple number of trips in their experience flying to the islands of the Bahamas, and they volunteer their time to help both folks that are planning individual travel to the islands. They're there and happy to answer questions. We have email contacts and phone number contacts for them on our website, which is bahamas.com. We have a whole page dedicated to our flying ambassadors. And our flying ambassadors also lead a number of flyouts to the Bahamas. So throughout the year, we organize special journeys for first-time pilots or first-time visitors, so that we can kind of take them by the hand and go through the whole process. We do a pre-flight briefing before we take off from the United States. We make sure that they're all set with their EAPIS filing, that they've got all of their documents in hand, that they understand we're crossing the defense zone, that they understand it's another country, and that there are some procedures and so forth that they need to follow. We meet and greet them in the Bahamas. We wine and dine them, or beer and conch them, if you will, and have a great weekend, and then bring them back home. Where they can be welcomed by our U.S. Customs officers. And we do work in tandem as much as we possibly can with all of the U.S. agencies as well. The Bahamas participates in the International Federal Partnership, which is a group of federal agencies, United States and Canada and the Bahamas. So we bring up, for example, our Bahamas Royal Police to talk about activities. We bring our folks from Bahamas Civil Aviation to talk about rules and so forth. So we're really doing our very best to create that marvelous network and that synergy that brings everybody in the air to the ground safely and securely. Experimental aircraft are welcome in the Bahamas. If you're airworthy in the United States, you're airworthy in the Bahamas. That's been in place for quite some time now. Light sport aircraft, we actually kind of led the way as a foreign destination. Your light sport aircraft is welcome in the Bahamas as well. So I think we've got some pretty cool stuff going on. One of the things that we are launching here at this show is we've decided that we should have a photo contest. So we've just announced, and it's available now from our website, bahamas.com/TAG take flight.
Okay.
And folks can sign up with a video or a photo and a short essay on why they should be in the Bahamas.
Okay.
And so we've got a really nice prize for them. A beautiful property, Tiamo Resort in South Andros, has offered us a couple of nights and meals, and it's a great prize at the end of that journey, which will conclude sometime in June. So that's the plan.
Good, great. Well, as a pilot myself, now I have a extensive experience in the Bahamas because, number one, as a charter pilot, I used to fly 3 or 4 times a week. Now this is back in the 80s when actually there were the outer islands didn't have any service, air service. Most of it was charters.
Yes.
Charters, and so I had that opportunity to have that experience. But the typical aircraft owner or typical private pilot really hasn't ventured over water, you know, and I guess the main questions they always had was fuel. How do is fuel available for them once they go over there?
Sure. There are a number of airports through the Bahamas, and you're right. We talk about the Bahamas being so close. It's just 50 miles away.
That's right.
Well, at 50 miles, you're at Bimini or maybe West End and off of Grand Bahama. You've got 700 miles to go before you get to the end. So there's a lot of islands, a lot of water, and a lot of airports in between. We have airports of entry scattered throughout the Bahamas. So and we also, within our pilot's guide to the Bahamas, we do keep an updated list of which ones have fuel available. And the idea is always that if you're in a 172, you can plan your route from airport to airport so that you aren't going to run out of fuel.
Island hopping.
Island hopping is a great way to go. In the museum here, there's a one-tank trip that's up on the board down here where they talk about where you can go with 1 tank of gasoline from Lakeland, Florida. And of course that extends out over the Bahamas. You can get down into the Exumas and back on 1 tank of gas, and they're looking at a 172. We're more accessible than people think.
And another area that they're mostly concerned about is, and I'm going to let you share that information. It's maintenance. For instance, you know, they take the airplane breaks down, and there are airports where they can not only get fuel, but they can get maintenance as well.
There are some airports where you can get maintenance, or if there's not like a mechanic or someone on the field, they are certainly available. For example, we work with the program called the Gateway FBOs for the Bahamas. There are a series of FBOs in the United States that cater to pilots who are traveling to the Bahamas. And many of them have maintenance shops. Banyan, for example, is one that does offer maintenance services,
Yep.
and they have over the years provided mechanics for specific needs to come out and help pilots in the Bahamas. Now, nobody wants to break down, but it's always nice to know that you can, get things back in order, if and when you need to.
Sure, that's why I ask you that, because it's in their mind. They go into a foreign country, especially if it's the first time flyer over there, and they really don't understand how nice that place is, how nice the people are.
It is a foreign country. However, it's very similar.
Oh.
We have a B dollar, which is beautiful.
Yeah.
So, get some, bring some home. But you can spend your U.S. dollar. Your U.S. dollar spends at par. So if someone says this is $2, it's $2 whether you have B dollars and change in your pocket or U.S. dollars and change in your pocket. So U.S. dollars spend, you don't need to exchange any money. We speak English in
Right.
the Bahamas. So it's easy sometimes to think, it's like hopping to the Keys. But it isn't quite. You're right. It's a foreign destination. So there are some formalities that folks need to go through. They do need to travel with a passport. They do need to participate in the EAPIS program. They do need to notify, U.S. that they're crossing the defense zone. They do need to advise U.S. Customs an hour prior that they're coming back again.
That's
So
correct.
all those things have to be in order. It is a foreign destination, but we are so close that we feel like next door neighbors. And I can also tell you that just about every Bahamian feels like Miami is the capital. So
I'll tell you a story that happened to me and my wife. We flew. This is probably about 20 years ago. We went to Eleuthera, north of Eleuthera. We went to a place called. I'm having a senior moment right now. But anyway, it's cottages and oleander gardens.
Oh, what a pretty little spot.
Oh my God. And so we get up in the morning and there's nothing, they don't even want you to wear your watch at that time. No, no.
Well, you see me, I'm on island time.
That's right, that's island time. And I have my watch on and it says, what's that for? No TV, no radio. You can read magazines, you can play parchisi, and we were playing hashkash on the street.
Yeah.
You know, we drove the thing and then we decided to go have lunch and we just started to walk, you know, probably a mile and a half. And about two people that were driving stopped to give us a ride. Now we were not hitchhiking. People just stopped us. Where are you going? And they will. So the hospitality over there is tremendous.
It's very
everywhere
cool.
they go.
People hail you when you walk down the street. I know there was one of my first experiences too, going down the street. Everybody's honking or waving at you, and I'm like, to my driver, do you know that person? Do you know that person? No, just, you know, we're hailing each other going down the street, and you should too.
Very friendly. Another thing is that really something happens in your psyche when you go to the Bahamas. Like you transform yourself because you feel different.
Yes.
I've been to many places on vacation, but when I go to the Bahamas, it's like, and the people that go with us is just like a different thing. And then you mentioned the keyword there just before in one of the things that you were saying, and you say the word conch. And that's the place.
Conch, yeah. Conch salad, conch fritters, yes, cracked conch.
Conch everything.
Steamed conch, stewed conch.
Yes. I have a friend of mine, as a matter of fact, in Green Turtle, and he owns a marina, and he has a conch, how do they call it? It's a, they take the conchs and they put them, he lives by the river, you know, like by the water, and he made like just like when you do cattle, and you put cattle.
Oh, he's holding it. Well, because you need to keep the live conch in salt water.
Yes.
Once you take them out of the salt water, they can't go back. That's it. They're either dinner or wasted, and you don't like to waste anything.
And whenever you wanted a conch, you just go there
That's where
and
it is.
pick one up and do it. Now, how, if you want to elaborate a little more on really what are the things that a private pilot needs to do in order to make, preparation-wise, to make that trip successful? Can you give them? I know you have written products and everything.
We can go through like it's pretty easy. When I first started doing this a few years ago, the initial briefing was get in your airplane, head toward Palm Beach, and hang a left.
That's right.
Okay, there's a few more steps now.
Okay.
With EAPIS, we've got an additional step that needs to be carried out for Homeland Security here in the United States. They want to know who's on that airplane and when you're going and when you're coming back again. It's not as difficult as some people might think, but it is one more step. You need to register, and once registered, when you're ready to make your trip, you go online and you say, I'm going to go on this day. These are my passengers. These are their passport numbers. We're going to come back on this day. Here are my passengers. Here are my passport numbers. And you're all set and ready to go. Now, the thing that you do need to make sure of on EAPIS is that doesn't change.
Right.
Okay? Whoever you said is on there should be on there. Whoever you don't have on there shouldn't be on there. Okay? And you do need to take care to be accurate.
Right.
Okay. You're going to file an international flight plan. You're going to make sure you've got 12-inch numbers on your aircraft. You are crossing the defense zone. You're going to have a code C transponder. You're going to have a life vest for every person on board. A raft is recommended but not required.
Right.
And you're going to fill out your C7A, which is the form that was specially put together by our Bahamas Customs to identify a pleasure flight. From years back, you might remember everybody traveled on a gen deck and you
Yes.
asked for a cruising permit and you did all that extra stuff. Don't need to do that. C7A, you're on a pleasure trip. The C7A is your arrival form. It is also your cruising permit.
Yep.
So we say make 3 copies. I say make 4. Never hurts to have an extra one. Go ahead and
Exactly.
fill it out before you're ready to go. If you're leaving from one of our Gateway FBOs, they are more than happy to help you go through your paperwork, make sure everything's in order. Every person on board is going to need an immigration card. Sometimes they're a little hard to get their hands on before your trip, so you might have to fill those out in the customs office when you arrive. But the airplane then is going to land at a port of entry in the Bahamas. At that port of entry, it can be any port of entry. It doesn't need to be the first one you get to geographically. So in other words, you can overfly Bimini and you can choose to land at Fresh Creek or Androstown. That's going to be your port of entry for the day today. You're going to present your C7A and you're going to pay a $50 customs processing fee.
Right.
Okay. Everyone clears into the country. You decide you want to go hopping around and go someplace else. You've got your cruising permit now, your C7A in your plan. You get in your airplane and you go wherever you want.
Right.
If you land at another airport of entry, you present that to the officer. If you land at another airport that isn't an airport of entry, there's no officer there, but you still want your documents. The local police officer may come over, tap you on your shoulder and say, may I see your paperwork? And you can very nicely say then, yes sir, here it is, and you're good to go.
Right.
When you're now ready to leave the Bahamas on that sad, sad day,
Yes.
you're going to surrender your C7A, you're going to fill out a C7, which is now your outward declaration, and you're going to pay a $29 per person departure tax. You're going to advise customs 1 hour prior that you are on your way in, and you're going to fly safely back home again, once again, over the defense zone.
I remember back in the day, if we were going, because I used to take a lot of people in charters, but some of them will take them to one place and then we'll go to another, and then we needed a transire. It was called a transire form, which meant that you were allowed to go island to island to island to island.
Right. Now, if they're recognizing differences between business flights and pleasure flights. Pleasure flight C7A inbound,
And
C7
that's it.
outbound. If you're on the commercial side, then talk to me outside of this show.
Exactly. Now the last question. You were telling me you were from Michigan?
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. How did you wind up down south and in the Bahamas?
My father went to Canada and met a pilot there who said someday you should fly to the Bahamas with your family.
There you go.
And that was the beginning.
Elizabeth, I'll tell you, it's been a pleasure having you on the show here, but time is merciless, and we have come to the end. And we thank you so much for being here, and thank you also. My name is Diego Alfoson of the Florida Aviation Network, and we'll see you in a little while.